Why is innovation so important to Taiwan? What technologies and sectors should we be on the lookout for? What makes Taiwan a good partner for companies and investors from around the world? I talked about these things with my good friend Kwangyin Liu. She's an award-winning journalist and the senior managing editor of Commonwealth Magazine, Taiwan's most influential business publication. She's also the host of Taiwanology, a great podcast that I recommend you listen to if you want to be up to date with Taiwan's business and economic landscape. So here's Kwanyin's interview with Taiwan Edge. Kwangyin, thank you for making the time to talk with me today.
Okay, thank you for having me in the studio, Marcel.
How important is innovation in the Taiwan development story?
Innovation really is everything for Taiwan. I say so because Taiwan really technically in the beginning didn't really exist. Taiwan as an idea, it was constructed,
Right.
and it has a complicated history, and in the beginning it really didn't have, it had nothing. So let's just say that it was very rural, and it was after the Second World War that industry started. And so there was a lot of textile industry, light industry, and started into electronics, and they had to start from scratch, and there was nothing, and people were like, because they had nothing to lose, they know that they had to innovate, they had to work super hard. Otherwise, there's no future because of Taiwan's very special international circumstances. What Taiwan is very famous for these days, semiconductors, TSMC, that didn't start until the 1980s.
Semiconductors aside, what other sectors should companies and investors be looking at?
Taiwan has always been known as a place for manufacturing, and semiconductor manufacturing is just something that Taiwan has come to master. But we have a lot of expertise in all kinds of manufacturing, including precision machinery. That's manufacturing the parts that goes into the machine tools that makes other things. Also, I would say that so the AI servers for data centers, and there's a lot of renewable energy investment in Taiwan, especially offshore wind. So there are also a lot of companies that want to be part of the green energy supply chain. So I would say that these are the industries that we can look out for.
Taiwan is close to innovation centers like Japan, South Korea, and China. Does it offer any particular advantages?
Japan and Korea, they are both much larger markets. So Taiwan has 23 million people, and I think the market size in Korea population is at least twice that, and the population in Japan is 4 times Taiwan's population. So Japan and Korea are both much larger markets. They so it's easier for the Japanese and Korean companies to have their initial success in their home markets before going global. But Taiwanese companies or entrepreneurs, we don't have that luxury because our home market is very small. So most of them, if they want to be successful, they have to be international from day one. TSMC is the best example. So back in the 1980s, when Morris Chang, the founder of TSMC, in his 6-page proposal to the government officials, from day one, the business model was not to make things for Taiwanese companies or Taiwanese market.
Exactly,
It has to go global.
It was
So-
thinking about the world.
Right. Yeah. Because we have the painful realization that Taiwanese market is simply too small. So all the companies they're very globally minded. They're very internationally oriented. They are very entrepreneurial.
There are many Taiwanese global brands. Is Taiwan's innovation internationally relevant?
Definitely, yes. Taiwanese companies makes a lot of stuff. So, for example, okay, Apple, right? Apple is not a Taiwanese company, but who manufactures your iPhones and MacBooks.
It's Foxconn.
Yeah, yeah. One of the most important suppliers to Apple is Foxconn. And even though they manufacture outside of Taiwan, mostly in China and now increasingly in Vietnam and India, Foxconn is founded by a Taiwanese person, right? And people might be surprised to know that all of your shoes, Nike, Adidas, Asics, New Balance, you name it, they are made not in Taiwan, but by Taiwanese companies
Correct.
overseas. Their manufacturing bases are China, Vietnam, Indonesia, all over the world. Another example is we all know Lululemon, the yoga apparel
Yes.
brand. So yeah, Lululemon and their many competitors, Alo Yoga, all the brands that I can't even name. Okay, so these companies are not Taiwanese companies, but their fabrics almost all exclusively come from Taiwanese companies.
Many people are not aware that these global brands rely on Taiwanese companies. Does that surprise you?
Well, I would say to the contrary, being under the radar, being unknown is actually what makes these companies so successful.
Oh, yeah?
Because these companies don't try to steal the glory from their very valued customers. It's precisely because these Taiwanese companies, we are, very quiet. We don't make much noise, and we never try to steal the spotlight from our customers, and that's what makes us valuable. And there's one crucial difference from, let's say, the Taiwanese contract manufacturers and the Chinese ones. If you look at Xiaomi, so in China, they would have a lot of contract manufacturers that used to manufacture for example, Tesla. They would leave the company after a few years and start their own brands, and they would try to establish something to compete with their old customers because they believe they can do better. Well, Taiwanese companies don't do that. We try to maintain a very long-term relationship, and we serve our customers, and we are very quiet in the background. Some people might uh, say that's lack of ambition, but I think this is just a way of survival for these Taiwanese companies because there's no other way to survive. They know that they have to rely on these very important business relations in order to thrive.
Is there a role for Taiwanese companies in tackling global challenges?
Absolutely. So really, if you look into any supply chains in the world, you would probably see Taiwanese companies in it. And if you want to talk about uh, climate change or let's say the degradation of our biological sphere, it is usually Taiwanese companies that come up with the solutions. So I can give you an example. If you're following the news of electric vehicles or drones, you probably would notice a company that's making battery cells. It's called Molicel. And Molicel used to be a Canadian company, but a few years ago it was acquired by uh, Taiwan Cement Group. So actually, I think it was 2 decades ago. So it's longer than that. But Molicel is really a pioneer in making high power battery cells. And so because we know that battery storage is very crucial for the climate crisis. If you want to use more renewable energy, you need more energy storage. And we have to electrify our transportation and electrify everything if we want to reduce emissions. So Molicel is just one very small example of how Taiwanese companies can play very important roles in solving big problems.
Innovation seems to play a big part in your podcast, Taiwanology.
Yeah, it is our goal to really highlight the innovative spirit of Taiwanese companies. I remember uh, there are two companies that I interviewed. One of them is Garmin. Garmin is making a lot of GPS. So if you drive a car, you would have a Garmin system. If you are a marathon runner, you probably have a Garmin smartwatch. And Garmin is not a strictly Taiwanese company, but one of their founders is someone from Taiwan, Mr. Gao. So I interviewed someone in the Garmin group, and he talks about how the Garmin system has been playing a very important role in navigation of airlines and automotive industry. So I think he really illustrated the important role of Taiwanese companies in people's everyday life. And another one is Appier, the founder of Appier. All right, the company Appier, consumers might not be super familiar with it.
I remember this episode. Yes,
Right.
very interesting. Yeah, yeah.
So Appier is the unicorn. It's a listed company in Japan. They have recently acquired a French company, so it's really expanding globally. It has nearly 20 locations worldwide. So why I think this episode is very special because we talk about hardware manufacturing a lot, actually too much when people talk about Taiwanese companies. But I want to um, show people that there are software companies in Taiwan who are also trying to making a mark. So when people think about Taiwan, we don't just think about chip manufacturing. We also have something else.
What would you tell investors and companies to motivate them to do business with Taiwan?
So I would really say that Taiwan is a partner you can trust. We're very faithful partners, and we will always strive to do an excellent job. And also, we should say that Taiwanese people work super hard. You cannot find people who are harder working than Taiwanese people, I think.
Thank you, Kwangyin. Again, check out the Taiwanology podcast for some really informative and interesting interviews. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.